but just make sure you've got a bolster or a nice long thick cushion, and then blocks or some more smaller cushions, and a mat obviously, and a blanket. And if you wanted anything to cover your eyes in Shavasana, then just bring like a little eye cloth or something like light to put over your eyes. Let's get started. Okay. So, welcome again to another week. Nice to see you all. We're going to be doing the last week of the stomach and spleen meridian line. So, still working into the stomach and spleen area on the left side of the body through twists and opening the quads and the inner leg line. So, a lot of lower body work and just dropping a little bit deeper into the same meridian system and the same meridian lines, but in slightly different sequence. So just bringing in some new shapes that we can feel into these lines with. And also we've gone into a retrograde. Mercury's gone into retrograde today. So that means when the planet spins in the opposite direction, which drags up a lot of the past, and sometimes it can cause a little bit of disturbance in our energetic fields, in our mental body as well. So this can cause a feeling of being off balance or off center. And this practice is a really nice way to just draw everything back into the central channel and into harmony and equilibrium again. So hopefully we'll feel that nice sense towards the end of the practice. We'll be doing about 35 minutes of asana and then moving into a little bit of breath work through Nadi Shodhana, alternate nostril breathing, and a short meditation to finish. So we're going to start in butterfly. So you might want to use a smaller brick or a pillow if you feel when you take a seat your spine is rounding. If you feel that you're kind of like falling backwards into your spine, then just grab a prop so you can sit up a little bit higher. And then the soles of the feet are coming together and knees apart. So if you have your feet in a big diamond shape, it's not as strong, but it still gets a nice deepening into the inner leg line from the big toe all the way up to the groin, which is the spleen meridian line. And we're working into that point. If you bring your feet a little bit closer, we're going to be working a bit deeper into that groin area. And so just find a position that allows you to feel that you're meeting that edge, but not going into any pain. Maybe it might feel good to bring a bolster underneath the knees or some pillows underneath the knees. And you can either work from more of a lifted position, so the spine's straight and you feel that you're lifting out of the hips, maybe holding onto the shins or the feet. Or if you're wanting to increase the compression in the stomach, just allow yourself to slowly fold forward. So drop in through the head, neck, shoulders, and allow yourself to just round in gently. We're going to be here for around 5 minutes. So make sure that you've got as much prop in as you need to and you're comfortable. And then allow yourself to make any final adjustments. And then find that space of stillness. Just take a moment to really feel your breath moving in your body. And notice if there's any areas that the breath feels a little restricted. If you folded forward, then obviously it might not feel as deep. But if there's anywhere the body kind of holds or resists, see if you can draw your attention into those points. Just allow a little bit more of a deepening of the breath, so maybe slowing the breath down, feeling the breath expand a little more fully. We're just coming up to around halfway. If it feels that you can move a little bit deeper into butterfly, then you can start to let yourself fold a little bit deeper, maybe taking any props out of the way, or even bringing the feet slightly closer into the body. So you're in a tighter fold in butterfly. And just here for another 2.5 minutes. So again, just bringing back to your mind the meridian lines that we're working with. Our spleen meridian line is our yin element in the body, and it starts at the big toe, works all the way up the inside of the leg, all the way to the groin, and then it cuts in through the groin into the left side of the body, up into the stomach and the spleen, which is at the top left part of the abdomen. And then a branch goes into the diaphragm, the heart, all the way the throat to the root of the tongue. And then our yang counterpart is the stomach meridian line, and that runs from either side of the nose, down the face, through the throat, through the heart and diaphragm. 2 branches split off down each side of the body, cuts down through the groin, and then it runs along the top of the thigh in the quad, just from the sort of top inside part of the shin and down into the second toe. So that's the energy lines we're working today. So as you practice, really bring spaciousness into those areas of the body and try to even train your mind to feel into those energetic currents. Maybe you might sense it more as you come out of the shape and you can feel the energy moving through more fully. And when we start to really tap into this very, very subtle layer of the body, we can start to feel where there might be any blockage or imbalance or restriction or an inhibited flow in the body. And we can really draw our awareness into these points and then allow ourselves to really use that knowledge to remedy that by different shapes and moving the body in a way that helps to create that nice flow again through those meridian lines. We're only here for around another 30 seconds or so. So just finish the final round here, and with your next inhalation, slowly start to lift yourself up to come to a seated position. Just feel your head and your heart back over your hips. And then you can use your hands behind the back of your knees to slowly bring your feet flat to the mat. Move any props out to the side. And then either pause in a lifted position, maybe lean back into the hands. You can maybe take some knee sways here side to side. Or if it feels nice to come all the way onto your back, it might feel nice to really open the hip. You can come to lay down on your back. Again, take knee sways if that feels good, or extend the legs out, maybe even just rolling the feet in and out might feel good. So as you come through transitions, really feel what's going on in your body. You might feel like a pulsing or a flushing of energy. Maybe you feel a little bit more space opening up, or even the body might feel like it's tightening up. Maybe feeling sensations of a heat or a cold. What else we could feel? Maybe like an electrical kind of tingling, but also looking for any sensation of pain. We never ever want to work into pain, and maybe that might be signaling that we've pushed ourselves a little bit too far in the shape. Just a few more rounds of breath here. When you're ready, make your way up to a cross-legged position, easy pose. So if this feels a little bit uncomfortable to sit like this, you can again grab a little cushion to sit onto. And I want to take the left shin in front of the right to begin with. So I'm going to mirror you so that I'm doing the opposite of what you're doing. The left shin goes in front of right. And find a nice long spine to begin with. Then we're going to take the left hand behind the back. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, you can bring your right hand to the knee and either hold on to the knee or turn the back of the hand to the back of the knee and use that as a post to just gently push into. Maybe finding a little bit more space behind the back of the body, or you might want to lift your hand up onto a brick so that you've got a nice support to rest onto behind the back. Take a few breaths there, really breathing into the belly. And then maybe on your exhalations, finding a bit more depth into the posture, maybe just through turning the head towards the back of your mat, or maybe you feel the chest opening a little bit more. And then once you've met the edge and you feel that you are in the shape as deep as you can, just pause and find that still point again. We're here for around 2 minutes each side. As we're turning towards the left, we're compressing into the stomach and spleen organs. And as we compress into them, we really squeeze any old blood, any stagnant energy, any old foods, old blood out of the organs. So when we turn away and we open, we get a really lovely flush of energy, blood back into the organs. And it just helps them to process through a little bit deeper. Nice. Take your last round of breath on this side. And then as you inhale, slowly come to center and just pause for a moment. Feel the effects on that side. Twists really help to bring the mind back into that central point. It creates a really stabilizing effect in the mind, and it allows us to feel a sense of harmony in the mind as well. Very calming and grounding. So we'll just cross over the legs in the opposite direction. So now your right leg is in front. And bring the right fingertips behind your body. Inhale here. And as you exhale, take your left hand either to the knee or the back of the hand to the knee and turn fully on your exhalation. Take a round of breath then. And once you find you can turn a little bit deeper, maybe on your exhale, looking towards the back of the room. We're just finding a bit more opening across the chest, a deeper twist through the waist. Keeping the spine in full extension and breathe into the belly. So nice deep belly breaths. And the more we can utilize our breath by breathing in a really nice, deep, full rhythmic way, finding that sense of stability and smoothness in our breath, and bringing in the qualities of silence and seamlessness. We can start to really build up our prana, our energetic fields, and bolster our organs, strengthen the chi flow through the body. It just helps us get a little bit more out of our practice when we breathe fully. Quite often we're only breathing to a third of the capacity. We're breathing into the top of the lungs. But when we breathe all the way down into the belly and feel the belly really expand and inflate, the rib cage opening, and we're using the full depth of our lung capacity, we clear out so much stagnant energy that's held at the bottom of the lungs. It improves our focus, it gives us more vitality, it brings more oxygen to all of our cells, so we are literally creating more health and life in our body by bringing more oxygen in. It's the last couple of breaths here. And then with your next inhale, slowly derotate and again pause in the center, just feeling the effects of the twist in its full capacity. Very equalizing, harmonious feeling in the mind. And so, slowly coming over onto all fours, and we'll move into dragon, which is a deep lunge from here. So if you've got anything going on the knees, you might want to take your blanket over the mat so you've got a nice pad for the knees to rest onto. And you could also grab a cushion or a blanket just to go ahead of your thigh, so you've got a nice support to rest the leg into. But see how you feel and see what you might need. You can also work with blocks at the top of your mat. So the aim is to stretch this left thigh. So step your right foot forward in between your hands. And then we're working to really open this front line of the left thigh. So if that feels like bringing your hands on the floor allows you to really drop into that hip, but you can stay here, maybe lifting up slightly higher with blocks might allow you to do that. Or I personally feel in my body, when I lift up and push the tailbone under, I get the deepest stretch in my hip flexor there and the front of the thigh. So just play around and see where is most beneficial for you. And then find a still point. Bring your attention into that left thigh. And see if you can create a little bit more space. So maybe that's lifting and lengthening out through the spine. Or maybe you feel the tailbone slightly tucking under, so you create a little bit more opening in the hip. Or maybe it's just physically in your mind visualizing and feeling the energy of the meridian line that runs along the top of the thigh opening up as you breathe. So your breath is creating the space. Just another 30 seconds, minute and a half each side. So we're adding a twist in here. So you can either work to turn by bringing your hands into a prayer and then twisting and hooking the elbow on the outside of the right knee. That's quite a deep twist and looking towards the back of the room. Or you can bring your hand down onto the floor or a block. Bring the floor up as high as you need to with the blocks or cushions. And then pushing your right hand onto the knee and turn to look towards the back of the room. Maybe even reaching back with your hand or opening out with your arm up towards the sky. Give another 1.5 minutes and breathe into the belly. So nice deep belly breaths. And feel the twist come right through from the navel center. Keeping the spine long, the chest open, and an easeful sensation in the body, the mind. So just notice where the mind is gone. Bring it back into the shape, back into your breath. Just here for a couple more breaths. So the next inhalation, slowly de-rotate. Bring your hands on the inside of your right foot and shift your left hip back. And then you can slowly step back and come into all fours. If you wanted to take a little bit of movement in between, maybe a child's pose or a downward dog might feel nice. Or if you feel okay to step straight forward left foot, we'll go to the other side. So you might feel slightly different on the opposite side. So just feel into your right thigh now as you step forward with your left foot. And maybe this side you need to stay with your hands lower towards the floor to feel that stretch in the right thigh. Or maybe again you're lifting up slightly higher with bricks or into a more right angle shape. And feeling the tailbone tucking under, the body and spine lifting up out of that right hip. So twists really help us also to see any imbalances on each side of the body and what's happening. If there's any restriction, if there's differences, and it allows us to really bring symmetry back to the body. So in Yin, we never want to practice in perfect symmetry. We're always working to practice in a way that each side of the body needs. And then this helps in turn to bring the symmetry back. Let's here for about another 30 seconds. So finishing that round of breath, and then we can come into the twist. So again, either hands to prayer and then twist and hook from a lifted position. So you're opening out and looking towards the back of the room. That's a bit of a deeper twist. Or right hand then comes onto the floor, left hand onto the thigh, and then turn either hand to thigh or open out. Hand reaches back or reaches up to the ceiling. And turn from the navel. Feel the chest open, spine long, and breath in the belly. So as we tune into the body, we see if there's any imbalance, if there's any difference each side. And we begin to move through those imbalances, through those restrictions, those differences. Whatever we do to the body, we will do to the mind. So we start to integrate the mind as a whole. And the left and the right side start to become more aligned in the central point. And as we do that, we find much more clarity because we're in more balance. And with that clarity comes clearer perception, clearer ability to discern what is the truth, what is our truth. and it allows us to lead life in a much more clear, direct, auspicious way, because we're not tied up so much in our imbalances, our afflictions, our pain and restrictions, because we're moving past them and through them as we become more aware of them. But first comes the awareness, and then comes the movement past that which is keeping us stuck. Once we're done this last round of breath on this side, and then with your next inhale, bring your hands on the inside of that left foot. Start to walk your hip back, and then slowly take your left foot back. You can either sit back into a child's pose, or maybe just sitting back onto the heels might feel nice. Maybe even taking the legs round in front and coming to lay down. Just taking any options that feel good for you, just to allow your body to rebound. Move any props out of the way if you need to, and just take a moment. Feel any shifts, any movements in this, especially in this front of the thigh and around the stomach area, so top of the abdomen, left side. So just take a final breath where you are. And then we're going to come into wide knee child's pose from here. You might want to bring a bolster ahead of you with some cushions or blocks underneath the top of the bolster, so you've got a nice lifted position. And if there's anything going on in the knees, it's always nice to use a blanket, so potentially using the blanket under the knees, or you can also bring it behind the back of the knee to act as a bit of a space to keep the knee joint open. Have the knees nice and wide, and allow the belly to rest down over onto the bolster, or you can use no support if you want to. And then turn your head to one side and just rest your arms wherever is comfortable. So either stretch long or resting the forearms down. We're here for around 5 minutes, so I'll let you know when to turn your head in the opposite direction. So again, working into the spleen meridian line, inner leg line. So find your edge. So you really feel that you're working deeply into this inner leg line, from the big toe all the way up into the groin. Clearing space, and then use your breath to create more space. Prana flows where attention goes. So wherever we direct our attention to, our energy moves. You can even visualize a stream of energy running up the inner leg as you breathe in and out, clearing this meridian line, this channel of energy. As we clear the spleen and the stomach, we're letting go of overthinking, worry, anxiety, inflexibility or rigidness. And in turn, we're bringing a sense of earthiness, of fullness, of contentment and ease, and a really beautiful feeling of being at home within ourselves. So when we're feeling nourished and nurtured and full of energy, full of life, really connected to ourselves, to the earth, we really do feel at home. We feel very content, very easeful, because we're fully nurtured and supported. Nice. So if you've taken your head to one side, you can gently look to the other direction just to stretch the other side of the neck out. We're here for another 2.5 minutes. So these organ pairs are linked to our earth element. And when we take in food from the earth as our nourishment, we literally are taking in a part of the earth. And as the stomach is the first point of connection to the outside world, this also relates to how do we relate to our outside world. Are we sort of shying away from life, or do we feel quite comfortable and confident in our meeting with the outside world? Do we feel grounded, balanced, harmonious, at ease, content when we venture out into the world, or do we find that we often meet a sense of anxiety or worry? So practicing twists, opening this front line of the body, really allows us to shift on a physical level into this meridian system. And then our diet also plays a very, very key part of keeping this meridian system balanced and harmonious. So are the foods that I'm eating nourishing me, or are they actually not making me feel too great? When we really drop in and listen, the body will always tell us. Just have to not allow the cravings and the addictions to foods to take the lead in the answer. Let's just take in one more round of breath here. And then you can slowly turn your head back through to center. Bring your hands to the floor. Gently press yourself up. Take your knees in one at a time. And then either just stretching into an all fours position, or maybe taking some nice stretches out for the legs through here, or downward facing dog. If you have any props in the way and you wanted to lie down on your belly, you could also come to lay down flat onto the mat. Just take a moment to rest. So I'm going to give you an option for 2 options for your last shape. You can come either into a supported reclined butterfly, so taking a bolster or some cushions behind your back. Allow yourself to come right up to the bolster or cushions. Take the soles of the feet together, knees apart. And if your knees are lifted like mine are, then just grab something to bring underneath the knees so that they're completely supported. And then you can roll yourself back to rest. That's a much more restorative version. And if you wanted to work a little bit more deeply, we can take dragonfly, which is legs wide. So you can either work from there or work from here. And if you're in dragonfly, either point or flex the feet. And then hands can either walk a little bit further forward and eventually work in towards coming down either onto your elbows or rested onto a cushion. So choose whichever option feels good for you for today, where you're going to get most benefit from your practice. And allow yourself to come into a nice space of rest. Feeling the body sinking into that pull of gravity. And as gravity slowly pulls the body open, you feel a nice releasing in the joints, in the connective tissue. The whole inner leg line is opening. The stomach, again, that takes in our first point of nourishment from the foods that we eat, and then any impure or unnecessary foods gets filtered through the stomach into the small intestine, large intestine, colon, to elimination. And all of the good nourishing foods get filtered into the spleen. So the spleen acts as a blood reservoir, and it takes all the nourishment from the foods and it converts it into grain chi. So as it takes the food in, converts it into grain chi, it then sends it up into the lungs as a fine mist. And as the mist transfuses into the blood system through the lungs, it's then transferred out into the rest of the body. So every single cell is replenished and nourished. And that happens through the spleen meridian line. So the spleen is thought of as the governor of our distribution and transportation of blood. And it also acts as a part of the lymphatic system, as it also exchanges red blood cells, cleans them, and it houses our white blood cells, which trap any organisms. So it's part of our immune system. But quite interestingly, if we don't have our spleen, then every organ then takes on its own immune response and acts in the same way the spleen would, but in individual organs, whereas when we have the spleen, it does that for the rest of the body. It's quite interesting that we can actually live without the spleen, but the spleen meridian line will carry on doing the duties of transferring energy around the body. So often if there's anything going on in the stomach and spleen, we can tell that because we have cold hands and feet regularly. And that's because the energy of the food that we're consuming is not being distributed fully and circulated around through the blood properly, because there's an imbalance or deficiency in the stomach and spleen meridian. That's a really interesting one to know. We have cold hands and feet. We're just here for around 2 or 3 more breaths. And to come out, we want to use the hands behind the back of the knees. So just gently bring one leg up at a time. If you're in a reclined position, you can just pause for a moment. If you're in a seated position, you can hug your knees into the body. And then if you recline, bring your hands beside your hips, push your elbows into the floor. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, push up off of your hands, tucking chin to chest, and slowly lift yourself up. And then you can hug your knees in too. And just coming into a nice small ball shape. And then we're making our way down to Shavasana from here. So if you need to take any more movements or stretches, feel free to. And if you wanted to set yourself up with some props, it's quite nice to take either some pillows or blocks underneath your feet. And bolster underneath your knees, and maybe a blanket behind the back of your head. So you've got a nice support for your head, or a blanket over the body, and maybe something to cover your eyes. If you've got a light cloth or something along those lines, just to block out the light that allows your mind to rest a little bit deeper. And then arms can either rest out to the side, or you might want to bring your hands onto your body. Just find a nice position to let the arms rest with the chest open and the shoulders relaxing down the back. And just close down through the eyes if you haven't already. And take a moment or two just to find your breath once again. Allowing your belly to expand as you inhale. As you exhale, feel the navel drawing back towards the spine. Breath surrendering your body further. Inhale is an expansion. Exhale is a surrender. And simply watching the breath flow in through the nose, revitalizing your body as you inhale, exhaling, feeling that sense of release. Now just release the focus of your breath and allow yourself to rest in complete effortlessness. Just gradually beginning to bring awareness back into your body. Slowly deepen your breath once again. And feel some energy move into your hands and feet, just gently stretching and clenching your hands, your feet, wiggling your toes, your fingers, flexing and pointing, circling the ankles and the wrists. And then taking any stretches that feel nice, maybe a full body stretch or hugging the knees into the body. And then when you're ready, just roll onto a side and pause on your side for a moment. And then with your next inhalation, use your top hand to press yourself up and come up to a seated position. So grab a bolster or some cushions to sit onto. So finishing with a few rounds of Nadi Shodhana, alternate nostril breathing. Just a very, very simple meditation to finish. So alternate nostril breathing, we'll use the thumb and the ring finger to close the nostrils off. Use your dominant hand. And we are just transferring the breath from side to side. So we'll inhale through the left, exhale right, inhale the right, and then switch over, exhale through the left. And we want to keep the inhalation and the exhalation nice and balanced, but also the right side and the left side. So just intuitively feel into that and allow your breath to go at your own pace, but I'll guide you through a few times. So find a comfortable seat and a long spine and just rest your hand that you're not using wherever's comfortable. And then bring your dominant hand up to your face. Rest the thumb and the index finger just onto the bridge of the nose and then slide it down to where you feel the cartilage begin. And you can either rest your index and middle finger onto the third eye or tuck it into the hand, whatever's most comfortable. Take a normal breath in through both nostrils. And breathe out the same, but through both nostrils. Then close the right, inhale through the left. Close the left, exhale right. Inhale right. Close, exhale left. One round done. Inhale through left. Close, exhale right. Inhale right. Close, exhale left. 2 rounds. Just continue like that. Inhale left. Close and exhale through your right. Just move in rhythm with your breath and feel the belly expand, the ribs expand, and then the navel draw back to the spine as you exhale the breath out. If you get lost, just know it's an inhale through the left, exhale right, exhale left. So just transferring over side to side. You want to keep everything all nice and balanced and equal. The in and the out breath, the right and the left. Let's just take one more full round. So your inhale starts on the left and your exhale goes all the way around, finishing on the left side. Just take your time, one more full round. And then once you've finished that final round, just resting your hands down onto your lap or your knees. And take a moment to really feel the effects of Nadi Shodhana. Very, very stabilizing, equalizing, and grounding the mind. Now we've brought ourselves into our central point, into the central channel. Just taking a very, very simple meditation of finding that still point in the middle. So from here, just allow your body to move side to side. So you're literally swaying from right to left. Feel the movement side to side. Just a few more through side to side. And then begin to slow it down. And then slowing it down to a complete stop. So your body's still, but you still sense the energy shifting from side to side. Very, very subtle shift from side to side. And allow yourself to really pause and hold in the central point, so the spine, all the way up to the crown of your head. Pause and hold in this central channel. And allow your body to stay in complete stillness. Kaya stira, body still. Just the next couple of minutes. Complete stillness in this central channel of energy. Body in total balance, mind in total balance. Allow ourselves to see with clarity and deep connection to effortless discernment when we reside in this central point in complete balance and steadiness. Let's bring hands into prayer, rest the thumbs onto your heart space and take a nice deep breath into your heart, into your belly. And as you exhale, bow your head down in gratitude to your body, to your practice and the teachers before. and offering gratitude to all that our practice brings to our lives. May we take this steadiness, this balance, this harmony, and this sense of calm stability with us into all that we do, so that we may see the truth and discern what is right for us in all situations and all circumstances. Namaste. Thank you so much, everyone.